afternoon, class. So today we're going to be learning about the different types of triangles. So can just anyone remind me how many sides does a triangle have? Yeah, Jimmy. Three sides, yeah. So triangles, they can look pretty different from each other. We can have triangles that look like this, or triangles that have all equal sides, or triangles with like really different sides. And so today we're going to be learning about three types of triangles that are actually classified by how they look and what their side lengths are. So the three triangles we're going to be learning about are called equilateral triangles, isosceles triangles, and scalene triangles. An equilateral triangle is a triangle that has three equal sides. So to show that they're equal sides, we just use these tick marks. These tick marks basically mean that these sides are congruent. Does anyone know what congruent means? Okay, congruent just means equal. So that just means that these sides are all equal. And then also with an equilateral triangle, you have equal angles. So basically all three sides and all three angles are equal in an equilateral triangle. So we're going to remember it by thinking equal lateral and equal sides and angles. Okay? So if we're good with this, we can go to the next one. So our next triangle is called an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle is one that has two equal sides. And what's another word for equal? Yeah.
Congruent.
Congruent, nice. So these two equal sides are called our legs. And this bottom side, which is different, is called our base. So the way I remember this is just thinking about my own legs. When I stand on the ground, my two legs, you would agree that they are the same length, right? Okay, so we have our two legs on the ground, which are the same, and then the space in between them, the ground, is usually different. So that's how we remember that these two sides are called legs. We can just think of our own legs, which are the same length. So do we have any questions, or are we good? Yeah, Jennifer?
So if an equilateral triangle has three equal sides and an isosceles has two, wouldn't an equilateral triangle be an isosceles triangle?
Okay, great question. So basically Jennifer has just asked, since an equilateral triangle has three equal sides, does that not make it also an isosceles triangle which has two equal sides, right? So that was your question. So, okay, the answer to this is basically the requirement to be an isosceles triangle is to have two equal sides, correct? So with an equilateral triangle, we see that it does meet those requirements. There are two equal sides. It could be these two that are equal, or these two, or any of these two. So it does meet the requirements of an isosceles triangle. Therefore, an equilateral, it can be an isosceles triangle. However, if we look at the opposite way, the requirement to be an equilateral triangle is for all three sides to be equal, right? So therefore, with an isosceles triangle who only has two of those sides being equal, it does not meet the requirement of having to have three equal sides like an equilateral triangle has. So therefore, it is not the same. So an equilateral triangle can be an isosceles triangle because it meets the requirement of having two sides the same, but an isosceles cannot be equilateral because it does not meet the same requirement. Okay? So that was a great question. We're going to quickly move on to our last type of triangle. So I'm going to be going over an academic cheer before we get on to our practice worksheet, just to help us remember these different types, okay? So we're going to start with equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangles have three equal signs, so we're going to make an equal sign with our hands, and we're going to make a triangle. So this is equilateral triangle. So now we're going to go to our second one. Jennifer, can you remind us what it is?
Isosceles.
Isosceles, good. So we're going to think of isosceles. So we're going to make an I shape with our arms. Isosceles. And these two arms are going to be our legs because they are the same length, but the space in between over here is not the same length. And so that brings us to our last one, our scalene triangle. We're going to think of a snake's scales for this one. So we're going to put our hands like this and start moving like a snake. Okay, so this is scalene because if you look at the triangle in between your arms and your body, it keeps on changing, right? None of the side lengths are really the same. So this one's our scalene triangle. Okay, so now we have our three types. I'm going to pass out a worksheet, and we're going to get started on doing the first two together, and then you can all do the rest of the worksheet with the part.